Okay. I hope I got this right. One second. And then we can begin. Okay. All right. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm new to this. I'm going to tell you the same thing that Angela told you last night. Click on the blue link above the video for StreamYard, please. That way that I too can see the comments and the names while we go through this tonight. Can anybody give me a comment to let me know that you all can hear me and that everything is working correctly? Because I honestly have no idea. Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right. It says Facebook user. All right. I guess. Hello. It says Facebook user. I don't know what your name is because it's not appearing, but hello to you too. I'm looking forward to doing this with you guys tonight. This is gonna be fun. It's gonna be interactive. I'm going to do my very best here to make sure you guys are included with this. It's going to be fun. Emerald. Okay, well that's beautiful. Emerald. I love emeralds. Okay, so I'm just going to give it like another minute or so and just allow people to come in. But I hope you guys enjoyed the first masterclass last night. I thought that Angela did a fantastic job, and tonight I'm going to kind of steer us into a not a separate or different direction, but I'm going to be kind of touching on some things that maybe are a little bit deeper. I want us to kind of go into some psychological practices, and but that's going to be towards the end. Hello, Rachel. Thank you for joining. I can see your name. That's fantastic. All right, so everything is working spectacularly, and that makes me very happy. Okay, so at the end of this podcast or masterclass, rather, I'm used to just saying podcast because that's what I've done for a long time. I was a spiritual guide on an app called Spoon, Anchor, and on Stereo, and it was so much fun. I honestly miss that. But just like with everything else, things change. But as I was saying, towards the end of the masterclass, I got these a very fun exercise I would love for you all to participate in. Is there anybody here, real quick, and this would be the last minute that I spend asking, before I jump straight into this. Is anybody here listening familiar with koans and what koans are? Has anybody here heard of what they are? It's spelled Koans. Koans are a Zen Buddhist practice. They are paradoxical questions for students. in order to expand the way that they think, in order to eventually arrive at a point of liberation. I got 3 picked out for everyone tonight. So at the end of this, I'm going to request that you guys, so at the moment, grab some pen and paper or use your phone. Either one, just write down at the end. I'm going to request that you write down these 3 koans that I picked out. It's not homework. If anything, it's fun because these paradoxical koans are supposed to assist in expanding your consciousness by, I guess the right words would be to meditate on the meaning as to what they mean, and everybody arrives at their own particular truth by meditating on them, and it's fun. I'm obsessed with these. I find them very, very fun. So without further ado, I will get to that at the end, like I said, and let me go ahead and just pull up this real quick. Okay, so tonight I'm going to be talking about the mind, body, spirit complex as topic 1. The reason why I wanted to go into this specifically tonight is because in order for you to grow spiritually, there has to be a level of connection with what it is that you are, not with who you are, but what you are. We are conditioned beings, okay? When we are brought into this world, we are given a social security number, a first, middle, and last name, and all types of other information. And this is how we identify ourselves. But this is not truly what we are. And this is so important to our growth because of the fact that we are nature and nature is us. We do what it does and it does what we do. However, we have been born into a system that has, in a sense, made us delusional to our harmonious connection with everything in nature. What that is that we are vibration, frequency, and energy. Everything in the universe is. Everything is connected. And I'm sure everybody here as well, if you haven't, I'll go over it briefly. Everything that we know from every religion around the globe talks about a trinity in some form or another. This trinity here in Western culture, usually it's more about the Christian mythology. It talks about the God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. And this particular trinity separates us from what is divine. This is one of the greatest lies ever told, that we are separate from what is divine. When I read the Trinity, or at least what I understand it as, I don't see literal division or separation. The Trinity is actually referring to what we are in unison or as a singularity with the Trinity. God the Father, which is creator, God the Son, which is creation, and then there's the Holy Spirit, which is the divine spark within all of us. That divine spark is something that exists within all things in the material reality that we are part of. So nothing is separate. And the reason why this is so important to your spiritual growth is because if you believe that everything outside of you is not part of you, then you're on your own. Basically, it's not that there's error in the way that things are perceived. It's more like when you go to sleep at night and you have a dream, you are that dream. And when you wake up, you are still that dream. Nothing is actually separate. And if I'm by any chance, like, saying something that is kind of confusing or anything, please let me know. I would love to. I would love to let people know, or at least explain what it is that I am attempting to say, because this kind of information that I'm trying to explain, I understand that it can be confusing. It's unorthodox in these days. So one of the most important things I believe in is the illusion of duality. The illusion of duality is basically what we are. As I was saying previously, what we are is a physical being. But that is pretty much what we have been programmed to believe, is that this is what we are. This skin, these bones, this mind, this is what we are. And there's really nothing else to it. Science says we live in a universe that pretty much exploded out of nothingness into something, and we are a random aspect way out on the end of all of this that is in a continuous expansion. But somehow, some way, through a random concoction of minerals and carbon and such, we are randomly here. That we live basically in a stupid universe. And I say stupid because it's mindless. This is the way that it's perceived to us. It's mindless. It has no intelligence behind it. Therefore, everything within this universe is random. It's a fluke. And we somehow manifested ourselves into this through its randomness. And this is all that there is. And that's all that it will ever be. The universe is an orphan. No mother, no father. And that's it. So this creates anxiety. It creates anxiety because on the other half of the mythology that we are typically born into here, especially here in Western culture, there is a separate theory where the universe was created by an intelligent being, and we were created for one single purpose, and that was to obey, to worship, basically to not to be enslaved, but to obey what commandments and ideas that were given to us by some higher form. And so typically this leads us to believe that we are on probation by existing. We are a child of something far more bigger than ourselves, but we only have one shot to get it right. And if we don't, then there's eternal consequences to pay. So, a lot of people, and I promise you, this is fundamental. We are living in a continuous state of perpetual anxiety because of the fact that we have these two different ideologies, and they collide, they clash with each other, and both of them really offer no peace. The very last thing that people tell you is to go into yourself, because that's where the truth lies. And if you tell people, well, I know who I am, I know myself. Well, and then they ask you, typically, I've been asked this a lot, like, well, okay, what is it about you that you know? Well, I know that I am a divine being. I am immortality, experiencing mortality. I am light wrapped in darkness. That is so foreign and paradoxical to the common ear these days. But really, it's so simplistic, and it's such a beautiful way in which to see reality, in the way in which to also see existence, because there's no separation. And if you believe, if you find, because, that's one of the powers. Some people, some people say one of your superpowers it's not what you believe, but it's how deeply you believe in it. And I don't believe that there's any wrong belief in the world. Even with what I'm discussing, whether it be scientific or Christian mythology, or, there's no specific wrong belief, because there is no error in creation. However, we as human beings, as creation, do conceptualize what error is. So we become our very worst enemy by trying to understand the understandable, by trying to distinguish the indistinguishable, by trying to fathom the unfathomable. And when we go deep into the very fabric of what it is to be human, we find ourselves more distorted and diluted in the aspect through people rather than through ourselves. It is within. When you go inside, you find the most harmonious of truths. So we are part of the Trinity. We are part of the Trinity. We are not separate from it because we carry the divine spark. And the reason why, like I said earlier, the reason why I find this to be very important is because if you believe in yourself to be something that is totally connected, then you can feel the connection. And that is something that vibrates not just through you, but into other people too. And I think that this is a great source of healing. And we live in a world right now. We live in a world where healing yourself is what's the right word? Healing yourself is toxic. It is a toxic way of thinking that you are actually able to heal yourself because you need doctors, you need the medical system, you need some kind of medication or something in order to get yourself back on the right track, to be the healthy human being that you're supposed to be. And this is incorrect, because thousands of years people knew something that we didn't know. People practice things we don't know anything about. There was a type of wisdom that at one point existed that is unfathomable to our modern day mind. So going into yourself is the true way, I think, in order to find out what you are. And one of these ways, I started doing podcasts because I had an experience. And this experience it has many names. And some people call it mystical experience. Some people call it enlightenment, I suppose. Some, in modern day, people say awakening. Samadhi is another. There's so many different names for this experience because it goes back as far as writing has even existed. This experience where you suddenly awaken to something that is bigger than the thing that you've always believed that you are. It surpasses identity, duality, and you finally find yourself, you're flung basically into this complete harmonious balance with everything. And it's amazing because when it happens, you finally know that nothing is random, nothing is mistake, that everything that you conceptualize things as, like duality, that right and wrong, that white and black, light and dark, right and left, back and front, over, under, up and down, north and south, all of these things suddenly become an illusion. And you realize that what you have been living your entire life is an illusion because it's been what you have been programmed and conditioned to believe. Opposites, polarities, need each other. You cannot have north without south or black without white. When you think of the yin and the yang, for example, there are many different symbologies, of course, and concepts to explain the symbol of what yin and yang is. People say that it's hands, that it's two fish or lovers on top of each other. Everything basically, it's opposite. But let's go ahead and use Alan Watts, for example. I'm a huge fan of Alan Watts, and he explains very beautifully that it's two fish, black fish with a white eye on top of a white fish with a black eye. Now, what happens if the white fish totally consumes the black fish? The white fish disappears as well because it can only exist as long as the black fish does. So opposites need each other, but secretly they are one because they both imply each other. Everything that is dual has to have its opposite or else. Now, if you, along with everything else in the universe, has an opposite because everything in the universe has its duality, then what does that make you? If you have an opposite, that doesn't mean that you're nothing. That means that the duality to you is the infinite expansion of all things, that you are absolutely the expanding universe in itself. You embody the entire universe within your being, as the entire universe embodies you within yours. This leads me to quantum physics, and I'm going to just touch on this too. Quantum physics actually talks about this. It proves Now, this isn't pseudoscience. I'm sorry, but like I know some scientists out there want to say that this is pseudoscience. That you know, yes, these photons and that these you know these things show that there's some kind of strange anomaly that happens when we observe reality, and that it changes upon our observation of it. But then when you tell a scientist that doesn't see consciousness as the fundamental aspect behind all things existing, if you tell a scientist, for example, the universe cannot exist without you because you cannot exist without it, and vice versa, this is a strange ideology to them because they don't see the intelligence, they don't see the mind behind it all. The universe needs a conscious observer to observe the existence of the universe itself, which means it needs itself to observe itself through you, a conscious being. It's playing you, pretending that it's not you. You are just pretending that you are not it. And that is our part in all of this. We're just playing a game of hide and seek, basically, with the infinite. And when I look at the details of quantum physics, this is what I fundamentally see. It is trying to hide itself from itself, which means hiding itself from us. And from us, I mean from itself. So it's a fun, the Hindus call this Maya, the Brahman and the Atman. The game is a drama, and we are all part of the drama. Just like you go to the movies to experience something, like in order for the show to go on, it has to trick itself. It has to trick you as the audience. It is the audience, and the audience is it. And in order to keep the game going, it has to disguise itself as itself. So everything is mind. Everything is intelligent. Everything has its place. And as long as we continue to pretend that nothing is that, then the game is working perfectly. And I think that's a beautiful way to think about it. Because when you see somebody, if you think on this level, if you believe on that level, like I said earlier, I know it's unorthodox to believe that all of this is somehow some kind of drama, and that we are the almighty, the infinite, the divine, pretending that it's not it. It's people get an uncomfortable feeling when you tell them that, and I can understand to a certain point why. But it's about how you expand your consciousness. It's about how deeply you want to believe there's something more. But believing can only take you so far. It's really about the dedication to yourself. Do you want to grow, or do you not want to grow? And this is where I think people confuse what free will is and what free will isn't. Free will is either that you want to wake up to your fullest potential as to what you are and your place in all of this, or you don't. And if you're the kind of person that hears that, hey, here's a beautiful thought. You are divine. And they say, no, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I'm a human being. There's nothing divine about me. Well, that's their choice. That's what they choose to believe. They have the free will to believe that. But if there's something that resonates in them, maybe they find that there's some kind of truth in the words to that. And they're like, well, I want to know more about this. I want to know more about what this is about. Because nothing else seems to make sense. That we are the most intelligent source of life on this planet. And the one thing that we seem to not have figured out is where we come from and why we're here. That's strange. Even to someone like me, that's strange. We are so intelligent, but we know nothing about where we came from. And, people argue at that point, hey, well, we got scriptures to tell us that. But these things are only symbolic in their nature. They only explain so much. It's not about explaining, it's about the experience. Because when you experience something that feels bigger than yourself, you realize that you are bigger than what you thought you were. Just give me 1 second, guys. So yeah, everything is one. Everything is connected, and everything has its place, including us. And ignorance, error, all these things that we go through as a human being is perfect. Everything is perfectly imperfect, and everything is imperfectly perfect in the way that everything unfolds. And this is difficult for people to understand too. But the reason why I wanted to take time tonight to explain this is because we are taught that there is right and wrong, that there is good and evil, that there is a God and a devil, there's angels and there's demons, and that there's these either you're either here or you're here. Now, consciously, yes. Fundamentally, what we really are is that we are all of those things. Symbolically, and metaphorically, we are all those things. We are our own demons and our own angels. We are our own God and our own devils. We become the very thing that we place as a being. And if we place ourselves into all of these, if we embody it, is what I'm trying to say. If we embody it and we realize that all of these things are actually characteristics of what it is to be the best version, but also there's the days where we wake up and we feel like we're the lowest version of ourselves. Well, these are the things that we have to understand about what we are. You're not going to wake up one day feeling bad about being alive. Maybe you're slightly depressed. This isn't some entity named Lucifer setting out to ruin your day. This is yourself just struggling with a level of psyche. There's an imbalance, and even if you had this mystical experience that I spoke about earlier, you're still going to have those days. You're just going to be more aware of it, and it's difficult to get through those moments because you feel like everything should be on a smooth path, that everything should just be falling into place, because you understand these things on a level of awareness that other people just don't see. However, it becomes a power struggle with your own being. And that's where the deep, honest work comes into play. You got to be honest with yourself. Why am I going through this? Why am I experiencing this level of, well, maybe depression or confusion, or maybe there's something that's triggering me? Why am I going through that? So they don't teach you that in the traditional Eastern cultures, and here where, you have the two dominant mythologies, as I was discussing earlier. What these things are not, what is not discussed in society as we know it today here in Western culture is that you have power over your own being. You have power over your own mind. Mind is the all, and all is the mind. You have the power over yourself to be the best version of yourself, and you can choose to be that or you can choose to not be that. If you choose to be it, you're going to have struggles. Those struggles are nothing but teachers. They are lessons, because everything in the universe is intelligent. You are part of it. And everything that comes into your mind, every thought that comes in and out of your awareness is something that is given to us. It goes through us. It's something that we experience on a daily basis in a myriad of forms. And we can choose to fight it or we can choose to accept it. We can analyze it. We can process it. Not hold judgment against it. If you do that, then you can grow from it. Or you can hate it and cause yourself more pain by the fact that it's happening. But the fact that it's happening is trying to tell you there's something wrong with the way that we are thinking, with the way in which we are processing what we are going through. And if you continue to battle it, like the way human beings want to battle nature, we want to beat nature into submission, and so we want to beat our own emotions into submission, then we are prolonging an inevitable force. Because to flow with nature is to flow like water. I love the quote, you're always going to tire yourself by swimming upstream, but if you submit to the current, then you become the power of the stream. So letting go and submitting to it, you become the power of the entire universe. Real quick, I apologize. This leads me to a point. I find divine influence in all cultures, in all different doctrines, in all different. I think that when you take everything at a literal basis, when you take everything that is said or written word for word, then you're not reading between the lines. Everything is about reading between the lines. When you read scriptures, for example, there are messages beneath the messages. There are words beneath the words. There's an understanding beneath the understanding. And when you begin to filter through that, there's something powerful there. There's something truly remarkably and spectacularly powerful. But some people just don't want to hear the truth, even though they read it themselves and they believe it at a base value. And I wanted to make this clear, just as a brief example. It says in the scriptures that Jesus said that the Father and I are one. And then at that point, people picked up stones to stone Jesus. To which Jesus replied, "Many good works have I shown you from the Father. For which one of these do you stone me?" And they replied to Jesus, "Not for these works, but for blasphemy, because you, being man, make yourself God." And Jesus replied to that, "Is it not written that I have said that ye are gods? And if that is what has been written, then there is no denying that." Now, that is the entire thing in a nutshell right there. But people want to look past that because they don't feel worthy enough to be something more important than what they actually are. And that's one of the things that like we are driving for here by doing this. My work and Angela's work is to significantly prove to you are worthy, that you are not just some fluke or random thing that came into existence. There's a purpose, there is a reason, there is a significant reason why everything exists as it does. And by us trying to show you that, is our reason for being here. It's our purpose. And maybe one day that purpose could be yours too. Because everything that her and Angela and I have both experienced shows us that there's nothing that is error. There's nothing that is accident. Everything has its purpose here. And that we are truly divine, truly existence, life itself is a divine experience. And I think most of us have learned a way to take that for granted. But we take it for granted not because we do it willingly and purposefully. We do it because we have been taught that there's really not much else to life than it just being life. And you're here, and there's nothing really that spectacular or divine about that. But the fact that when you really think about reality, when you really think about how is this all happening? What is all of this? Like, how can this moment right here actually exist? It's impossible. If anything, at the very core of what science says, that it's impossible that this is happening. So how is it happening if it's impossible? And some people say, well, it's because it's this reason, it's that reason. But at the very core, when you see that God, and when I say God, I don't mean the being in the sky with the beard and the golden throne and the big book. I'm not talking about this mythological perspective, this imagery that human beings have created. God created man so that man could become God. And that is our purpose here, is to awaken to our divinity. But we have to go through circumstances in life before we arrive at this absolute conclusion, and have that embodied. And it takes work. It takes significant amounts of work. It takes significant amounts of honesty, and depending on your background, discomfort. But there's nothing but beauty behind it all when you release it, when you let it go. Because letting go is the most powerful tool for manifestation. And the only way to manifest what is truly significant in your life is to let go of the things that are not important, or what you held to be important. So meditation, there's several different types of meditation, and I just wanted to share with you real quick. There's all kinds that we really want to share. Angela and I want to share with you. One of the ways, is anybody here familiar with breathing meditations? I'm just curious. I use this one fundamentally as one of the most profound ways. Okay, great, awesome. breathing meditations are amazing. And I'll go into that a bit down the road, not tonight, but it's profoundly significant in the way that it impacts the way that you feel within your body. It creates significant amounts of mindfulness too. When you focus on the breathing rather than your thoughts, your mind will automatically. This is why, like, I find this the most impactful type of meditation. When you do breathing meditations, you focus on the thought, like as I was saying, rather than the thought of breathing, rather than the thoughts that come in and out of your head. Now, once in a while, you'll have this thought and that thought go through your mind. However, it becomes easier to control. And I'm not really sure why, but everybody's different. Advil works for some people. Tylenol works for some people. And for others, not so much. But just like with anything, it depends on the person. But for me and for many other people that I've talked to over the years, especially in my podcast, this works. Especially when you take, if you haven't done it before, or you've done it a little bit, or it's not like a something that you do 3 or 4 times a week. I started off doing breathing meditations. I would say about 15 to 25 minutes every night. And I found it to be so helpful. I really did, in so many ways. But as I said a little bit ago, Angela and I will go into these practices a little bit more. And if you want to play with it, go for it. Some people have a hard time focusing, just laying down and listening to a guided meditation, because it takes a lot of focus. With breathing meditations, it doesn't take that much focus. It's you and your environment. You're breathing in your environment, and you feel it in your being. You feel it physically. You're filling your body up with air. You're filling your cells up with air. You get the tingling, and the visuals even come into play. Like, even that too, like, especially under the right conditions of your mindfulness, play an amazing part in the experience itself. So there really isn't much more that I can say about this. The reason why I really wanted to shed some light on these things about what you are, not who you think you are, but what you are, is because if you have a specific yearning to grow, to become the best version of yourself, then we have to believe that you are something more as what you are. You can't rely on other people to tell you what to do. People can explain to you the steps that are necessary, but you can't depend on them to make the changes for you. You are the only person who can do that yourself, because all of us as a collective are just trying to figure out what the hell is going on at any point in time. And there's like 500,000 different ways to believe anything. But at the very core of what it is to be, what is the being that is being? How is it that we are consciously conscious of our consciousness being conscious? How is it that we are aware of our awareness being aware? Who is it actually that's observing the observer's observations and experiencing the experiencer's experiences? If that is happening all at once, then there's something definitely worth noting and bringing an awareness to. because I can promise you that is actually what's happening. We're just not taught to tap into that. So, with that being said, as I said at the beginning, here are some koans. And for the people that are watching the replay, hey, and by the way, Angela did this last night, and I forgot to totally do it. If you're watching the replay of this, drop a hashtag replay, just like you guys did for her. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the koans. I got 3 koans for you guys tonight. Now, for the next 48 hours, I want you to use these koans, process them. Please do me a favor too. Just a small favor, okay? Don't go Google somebody else's perspective. This is self-work. It's not homework. This is about how to expand into yourself the answers that lie within you. Don't take somebody else's answers that they found within themselves. Then the whole thing is hollow. So this is fun. This is meditative, ancient Zen work. And it works. It works so well. And that's the reason why I wanted to end this live tonight on this on doing this with you guys. Before I go into the koans, does anybody have any questions? I see there's 2 people watching. I hope I didn't confuse anybody. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I was a little nervous. I probably jumped a little all over the place with this stuff tonight, and yeah, I got to get back into doing this. At one point, I was, I was fluent in this, but I'm a little out of practice. Now that when quarantine ended with COVID, I had to go back to real life, real reality, to real work. And it's been like a year and a half since I did podcasts. And so I'm not quite in the element as I once was. So I hope I made perfect sense with everything that I was saying. In order for you to wrap it all up into one, if you want to get to know yourself, if you want to know thyself, you have to know what you are part of in all of this. If you feel yourself as just a human being, then you're kidding yourself. But that's the point. That's the point of all of this, is that is exactly what the mind behind it all, the intelligent mind, that we are the dreamers, dreaming within the dreamer's dream. And you're just dreaming still. And that's okay. But if you feel that there's some truth to that, and you want to awaken from this dream, from the illusion that we have been programmed since childhood, then you have to at least bring a certain amount of awareness to the fact that nobody knows what is actually going on. And that is on purpose. That is the design. And the design as well is that is the more that you educate yourself and the more that you believe in yourself to be part of that intelligent design that is connected with the all, the more that it will make sense to you that you are what you are because you are divine. You are a divine being waiting to awaken to what it is to be divine. So there's a million ways that I could say it. Without further ado, though, like I said, I'm going to jump into these koans. I don't want to keep you guys waiting anymore. I know Angela went an hour and a half, but I don't really have an hour and a half worth of material, really. I just wanted to kind of put together something simple that I just wanted to share about why we are all connected. That I am you and you are me. The same I am that I am is the same I am that you are. And we were, if you think about it, we were all born the same exact person. We were all born into the same. We were all born with the same level of ignorance, wonder, and awe until we are programmed to believe otherwise, which is why we lose that childhood magic, that magic and awe that we had at one point when we were very young. But you can get back to that. That's why they say that it's so important to have the heart of a child. So, yeah, if you have pen and paper, real quick, to anybody that's watching the replay, grab real quick some pen and paper, or use your phone. You can type it. I'm sure if you got Google Documents or whatever, here are 3 koans I want you to focus on. As I said earlier, koans are one of the most meaningful practices in Zen Buddhism. Usually it's translated as nonsensical. The sentences have much greater purpose. It's about breaking beyond the concepts in meditation as a driving factor of the koan. So here's the first one. One more time, I want you guys to take the next 48 hours after writing these koans down and develop your own personal truth behind what they mean. And then on day 4, when everything is interactive between Angela and I, we'll both be present. We want to hear what each person's individual truth is about, what you arrived at based in these koans or off of these koans, how it came to make sense for you personally. This is the first one. 2 hands clap and there is a sound. I'm gonna repeat it. 2 hands clap and there is a sound. What is the sound of 1 hand? 2 hands clap and there is a sound. What is the sound of 1 hand? That's the first koan. Okay? I just give you guys a minute to, if you need to write it down. Number 2, without speaking, without silence, how can you express the truth? Without speaking and without silence, how can you express the truth? Okay. And finally, the last one. If I'm moving a little bit too fast, please, you always replay it and write these down. The third and final one is, how does one overcome desire without desiring not to desire? One more time. How does one overcome desire without desiring not to desire? So these are the 3 koans that I picked. Some of these might be easier for you than another one, or it might be easier for you than the next person. It might be harder, but that's the point. The point is the paradoxical way in which things are processed. But there is an answer. There is an answer, and we'll have a lot of fun with that later on. I promise. Like, I'm actually really excited to hear what anybody's conclusion, what conclusion that they arrive at, or what you arrive at. So, with those 3 koans, good luck. I mean, it's a great way to meditate. It's a great way to try to make sense as as the nonsensical. Try to make sense out of nonsense, but that's the practice of Buddhism, especially in Zen Buddhism. Does anybody have any questions before we end the live? Anybody at all? I would love to just take a moment to answer any questions if you have any. No, you don't? Okay. All right. All right. I will go ahead then and end this masterclass with a thank you for sticking around with me through the whole thing. I appreciate it more than you know. And I wish that I'll probably think of something later. Okay. Well, hey, we are always available. Message Angela and I about anything. That's what we are here for. That's what our calling is. I know in time I will only get better at doing this. Ego is a vicious SOB. I'm sitting here the whole time I'm doing this, and ego is telling me, don't say that, don't say this in this way. Like, you could be doing so much better, and I'm like, it's difficult. It's difficult when you do something like this. We really have a passion for impacting people's lives and helping people change in the same way. Something inside of us awoken to help us change within ourselves. And we want to help people awaken to that same liberation, and it's not impossible. It exists. The mystical experience is a real thing. And when it happens to you, you never are the same person again, because you realize at that moment you are not a person. You're so much more. And with that, everybody, thank you very much. I look forward to hearing your conclusions about the koans, and I will see you guys tomorrow night with Angela. Have a great night. Love, light, and peace. Bye, guys. Thank you very much for thank you. I needed that. Have a good night, guys.